The Lap of Honor. One of the greatest runners of the 20th century, Murray Halberg, was almost killed in an accident while playing rugby. He was only 16 then. His left shoulder and arm were so badly damaged that the arm remained paralyzed for the rest of his life. The veins and arteries in the arm had burst, and the doctors could save his life only with great difficulty. His parents, who had been told he was dying, stood by his bedside. When Murray became conscious, they saw a faint smile on his face. That same faint smile was to become famous 10 years later, on the Olympic track in Rome, when Murray lay almost unconscious with pain after breaking the world record for the 5,000-meter race. Murray Halberg was born in New Zealand, but his forefathers came from Denmark. His father was, at one time, a trainer of wild horses. Murray did not have a big, strong body. He never weighed more than 57 kilograms. However, he loved all sports. After his accident, he had to give up rugby and basketball, so he took up athletics. Once his coach asked him to run 5 miles to see if Murray had any stamina for athletics, and the boy surprised him by running the distance in just over 25 minutes. At this time, Murray was still learning to dress and feed himself with one arm, and to write again. In 1951, Murray met a man called Arthur Lydiard, who became his coach. Lydiard had been a famous long-distance runner, and he had new ideas on the training of athletes. He made them run cross-country for great distances to build up their stamina. By 1953, Murray was running at least 160 kilometers every week. He won the New Zealand 1 mile and 2 miles junior championships. In 1954, Halberg became famous after running a mile in 4 minutes 4.4 seconds. He was invited to run in the United States, where he ran a mile race in just over 4 minutes on a wet track. Meanwhile, Roger Bannister of Oxford University and John Landy, an Australian, both had run the mile in less than 4 minutes. For many years, experts had said it was not possible for a human being to do this, but the impossible was achieved. The 1956 Olympic Games were to be held in Melbourne, Australia, and Halberg began to train seriously for them. He went to Australia and took up work on a farm in order to build up his strength. Australia then had many great runners, and Halberg wanted to defeat them. Halberg was competing in the 1,500-meter race at Melbourne, but in the finals he discovered that mere stamina was not enough to win an Olympic race. While thousands of people watched the race in the stadium, Murray became nervous and took the lead from the start. With so many fine runners in the race, this was a mistake. 300 meters away from the end of the race, the other runners overtook him. Murray finished 11th out of the 12 runners in the finals. He was terribly disappointed at his failure. He felt he had let his country down.
Was there any use in trying again?
In the end, he decided that he would make another attempt. Now 23, Halberg changed himself from a human being into a running machine. It seemed he could feel neither pain nor tiredness. There was hardly any feeling left in him. There was nothing except running in his life. Murray, now running in 3-mile races instead of 1-mile races, at once discovered that he was much better at this distance. His timings in these races were as good as the best in the world. He and his coach Lydiard decided on a new plan for these races. Lydiard had found that most runners were in the habit of slowing down a little. When they were about 3 laps away from the end of the race, then, when they got their breath back, they would make the last sprint for victory. Lydiard thought it was at this point that Halberg should make his great effort. He was to race to the front, taking the other runners by surprise, and depend on his great stamina to carry him the rest of the way. This plan was tested at the British Commonwealth Games at Cardiff, Wales, in 1958. In the last 1,600 meters of the 5,000-meter race, Hallberg flew past world record holder Albie Thomas of Australia and won the race easily in record time. It was his first great international success. The Rome Olympics were still 2 years away. Hallberg took up a new job in New Zealand and got married. He ran a number of races without much success, but was working hard to reach the top. In the meantime, Lydiard had discovered another great runner, Peter Snell, also from New Zealand. 1960 came, and Lydiard took his 2 runners to Rome. The people of New Zealand had collected money to send Lydiard to Rome. Hallberg was now 27, the age at which Lydiard had said he would reach his peak as a runner. He had run thousands of kilometers in training. But would he become nervous again in the heat and noise of the great stadium in Rome? Hallberg reached the finals of the 5,000-meter race without much effort. No one paid much attention to this New Zealander, with the paralyzed left arm and his ugly running style. The eyes of most people were on the strong German and Australian runners. Compared to them, Hallberg seemed to have no muscles at all. His great desire to win and his plan to beat all the other runners were reserved for one day, 2nd September 1960. As he was waiting for the start of his race, he heard a great roar from the crowd, and then loud clapping. His friend Peter Snell had won the 800-meter race. It was a great victory for New Zealand. The 5,000-meter race began. All the runners started off at a very fast pace. Hallberg was happy because this would help his plan. The 60,000 people in the stadium never took notice of him. He was far behind the others. After 7 laps of the stadium, he was still behind them. 8 laps, it was time for him to put his plan into action. He began to overtake the other runners one by one. Then the New Zealander in the black running dress brought the crowd to its feet. There were 3 more laps for the end of the race, but Hallberg was sprinting with unbelievable strength. From the crowd,
Doesn't he know how many laps are left?
with 2 laps left, Hallberg had a clear 18-meter lead. 1 lap to go, with Hallberg still in the lead. But he was clearly becoming weak. His head was rolling from side to side, and his teeth were bared in pain. It was no longer an ordinary Olympic final. There were 2 heroes in the great drama, both running as if their lives depended on the race. Hans Grodowski, a German, was catching up with Hallberg. Now Hallberg was not fighting the others, but himself. His body was crying out for rest. It wanted to fall quietly on the ground and go to sleep. His body said that Grodowski, or anyone else, could have the race.
But his mind and spirit would not allow the body to win.
He could now see the white tape at the finishing line. On the other side of the tape, he told himself he would find peace and rest. Grodowski was only a few meters behind him. As they went round the last bend in the track, Hallberg prepared himself for the last effort, in case Grodowski overtook him. But Grodowski never did. Hallberg fell into the tape and rolled to the ground. Grodowski was still behind. Hallberg's friends gathered around the fallen body. Their minds were full of anxiety. But there was that faint smile on his face. When he was returning home, he heard in Singapore that his wife had given birth to their first daughter. Compared to this great prize, the Olympic gold medal which he had won did not seem very important. In the next 3 years, Murray Halberg ran many races and won many prizes. But never again did he want to feel that he was a running machine. He wanted a change, to do something useful with his life. The chance came in 1963. That year, in Toronto, Canada, he gave a talk at a meeting of sports writers. A lot of money was raised, and it was used to help the disabled children of Canada, who could not walk or take part in any sport. Murray found that he could make himself useful to his fellow men at last. Back in New Zealand, he seriously took up the task of helping disabled children. Many famous sportsmen joined him in this work, and a fund called the Murray Halberg Trust Fund for disabled children was started. Murray said,
"The new victories which I am winning in my work with these disabled children are far more meaningful than that famous victory in Rome on that afternoon in September 1960.
There were many more victories waiting for him after that.